Remember to forget, little boy who lost a bet.
Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Today we're covering the brand new cards for the upcoming Challenger Series Solo Leveling with the E-Rank Hunter character Sun Jing Woo. This is a product I've been very hyped for, something I've been looking forward to, and I am really excited to go over these cards. And I am, as always, joined by Richard Plummer, who, as true to form, has no idea what anything about this IP.
Exactly. I mean, I have a vague understanding just from the sort of what the sort of pressy you've told me of. He's just like a guy who finds himself in video game world.
A quick synopsis of episode 1 and basically episode 2. In this world, magic has been introduced into our world. People who have abilities or who have awakened can be ranked and assessed, and they can enter dungeons where they can get magic crystals, which are a clean source of energy that they can then sell for money. And Sun Jingwoo is the lowest rank and the weakest of humanity's hunters. He finds a double dungeon, essentially a secret dungeon within the dungeon he's currently working. And it is a god tier rank dungeon where the majority of the people, I think only 3 people survive outside of Sun Jin-woo. And when he awakens after being killed in this dungeon, he has access to a player system. He has access to a completely different system of looking at the world than everyone else. He levels up, he gets loot boxes, he has access to item boxes and skill trees and all the stuff that other people don't have. So yes, he's kind of born into a video game world, but it's more the video game world is thrust upon him. The system goes, you've met the requirements, you're the one that has been chosen, you're now working for the system.
Right, okay. So it's a bit Shadowrun. I don't know if that's a reference you get.
No,
that's like an old RPG, so tabletop RPG, which is basically cyberpunk with orcs and magic and dragons. So a bit like that, and then a bit Ready Player One over the top of it, I guess, where he is like he can see all the stuff. And I suppose actually the more recent one would be something like Free Guy. I don't know if you've seen that. The Ryan Reynolds film?
Well, yeah, I've seen Free Guy. It's not really like Free Guy because there's other people that are aware of the system of Free Guy.
Yeah, but that kind of being able to see behind the curtain kind of thing.
Again, it's like major spoilers down the line, but yeah, it's more he's being prepared for what the world's going to become now that it's been introduced to magic.
Right, okay. So yeah, very Shadowrun-esque. So, yeah, not a direct corollary with any of them, but, you can see bits and pieces on all of those things in there. Okay.
It's very, very cool, and it is a manhwa, so it's a South Korean sort of manga, but they're manhwas, and it's one of the most popular. It's even got a sequel now, which is very, very cool.
I mean, the only thing I've really heard about it, or saw about it before coming in here, was, I would just get endless adverts on YouTube for, the mobile game.
I have seen adverts for the mobile game Arise, and I have been tempted. The movie has just dropped in cinemas, which is a kind of recap of season 1 with the first 2 episodes of season 2, which is awesome because season 2 doesn't drop till January, so I'm hoping to go see it. But with Robin's schedule and the fact that the closest cinema doing it is an hour away, might not work out. We're here to talk about the cards. We've got all 21 technically cards for the solo leveling challenger deck. We've not got any alt-art cards. I'm going to be hunting those down because similar to the Dark Deku challenger deck, every single card in this deck has got an alt-art comparison. So all of them are going to be amazing. And it's a single character, which means I'm hoping for the same kind of Deku pull rates for the alt-art Sun Jin-woo. Essentially, I just want to recreate the entirety of this challenger deck with all art, so I can turn up to a challenger side event with just Sun Jin-woo, because I think he is a challenger format badass. May be competitively viable, but I'm sure Rich and I will get into some arguments about that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So obviously this is going to be released So the actual product itself, which obviously you'll be able to pick up from your LGS, I believe it's sort of early next year before the Nationals. I'm not quite sure on the exact date off the top of my head.
Solo Leveling hits stores January 10th. Richard unfortunately can't see what on the screen, but on the screen it does say on January 10th. Head to your local stores, pick it up. The first Nationals starts on January 12th, I believe. So it's basically starting after this has gone live. So it should be legal for all 3 Nats because Oceania got
first. Maybe not the OCE one because that's 10th to the 12th. So
no, these guys go live the moment they drop.
Okay, then they'll be legal on the day National starts. Well, actually, it depends because if they've got to have registered their deck list the evening of the 9th,
so it won't be legal for last chance qualifiers.
Well, it depends. If you've got to register your Nationals deck list the evening before, right?
Oh, no,
on January the 9th.
The Friday is last chance qualifiers.
Oh, what, the 10th itself? Okay,
The Friday is last chance qualifiers and some side events. The main event isn't until Saturday and Sunday, so you're fine.
Well, maybe. I don't know if the OC have put out their schedule, but obviously in the US, the first day is the first day of Swiss. So it might line up, it might not. It might be legal for OCE. We don't know the exact technicalities of that. But obviously, it will be legal for EU and North America.
Yeah.
So, if there's any cards in here that might be important for your deck building going forward, certainly something to bear in mind.
So let's take a look at the character card themselves. This has been floating around for a few months now after some suave individual found it on the UVS website and immediately blasted it all over YouTube. So we have Sun Jing Woo, E-Rank Hunter, traits E-Rank and Hunter, makes sense. 6 hand size, 30 health. Sun Jing Woo begins the game with the Assassin skill tree and only has 1 ability, Response Tenacious. Remove 1 XP card from your hand. At the start of your end phase, level up. They are a all-death life character, and that is it.
Yeah. So without having, obviously we'll look at the Assassin skill tree in a second. Don't worry about that, dear readers or dear viewers even. But essentially is sort of blank, right? And has to either go down 1 card in hand or 1 card in stage, because you can move from stage to start getting his abilities. So, we'll have to see how that works and how you maybe possibly get some rebates on, going down that card, or you're going to want ways of drawing extra cards maybe just to refill the hand, because effectively you sort of probably going to want to do this every turn just so you actually are turning your character on, right? So certainly, at least just sort of without looking at any other cards, feels like a character that might sort of start slow and then snowball as he gets leveled up and leveled up.
It's a great adaptation of the IP to go, we're going to give Sun Jing Woo a skill tree, and we're going to have him level through it because he's solo leveling, and it saves space on rather than trying to do a Yu-Gi-Oh-esque paragraph with 8, 10, 12 abilities, or then just go, we're going to make this a separate card, so we have the space, we have the design for freedom. I'm not the biggest fan that they limited it to Assassin skill tree, because with something like this, I would love to have just seen it with, say, Sun Jing Woo begins the game with a skill tree in place, so you could swap out if we get more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in theory, if this is the low-level Sun Jing Woo, right, in terms of like the early part of him in the story, him just being limited to that 1 skill tree makes sense. And then maybe if there's then Sun Jing Woo boobly boo in Challenger deck, Challenger series, sorry, leveling 2, there's Sun Jin Woo, yes, some other subtitle, and then he can start the game in play with a skill tree, and then they introduce, I've seen Necromancer being a thing that he can do later on, possibly spoilers, and or you could decide, actually I want to start with the Assassin skill tree or the new one in the new Challenge deck or something on those lines. So, and it's possible, the skill trees are something that maybe, like I said, we discussed this previously, are used in things like Critical Role, where there are other skill trees and he's limited to this one. Maybe other ones could pick other skill trees. So yeah, we will have to see.
I do think that this is going to just be a solo leveling only idea. It makes sense IP translation wise, and Critical Role, we're adapting the universe, not the tabletop play. So I don't think the skill tree.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing. Let's narrow in and let's focus on some new. First of all, let's break down the designer's card. He's got the Night Slayer in hand. Absolutely love seeing Igris's blade here. I love the kind of gate technological side behind, even though it's a magical world. And I'm immediately drawn to the hand size, name and title, and the health total having that kind of glitchy, gamey sort of systemy effect to them.
Yeah. So again, as with all IPs, and it's something we talked about with Zoe, is that they're very keen on having the sort of full package in terms of that art design sort of overview, like their kind of rules for making a set. When it comes to art design, really fitting the world, it comes to like the text boxes, the text, the fonts they use, like the hand size, attack zone difficulty, control checks, all that stuff, really fitting into the world that the cards are set in. It's something that's really cool, and just being able to put a little bit of stylization in that makes it very much a solo leveling card, but also a Universus card.
Exactly. The Godzilla's got the more comic-y style. AOT got the manga style. Critical Role gets the fantasy kind of style. MHA got a more bold, dynamic style, and we're seeing a glitchy style here. They all get their own kind of bespoke art style and feel to them.
Yeah, and the same with like the lower deck stuff, right? And again, that was very sort of that animation stylized stuff. So
very Federation style with the font.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the skill tree. Now, the skill tree here is packed with references to the show. Each one of these here are attacks or abilities that Sung Jin Woo gets from the show. But let's have a read. Assassin skill tree. Your character can unlock these skills after you level up. Unlock the next skill down, beginning with critical attack. So you don't start with critical attack already unlocked. You have to unlock it throughout the turn. That was something that we made sure to get clear. So you start off essentially blank, and then because it's tenacious, if you have an XP in hand, no matter if you're going first or second, you can
always
level up and get that first enhance.
Yep.
So
obviously, this will just start, I guess, in terms of on your play area, just off to one side, just to remind you what you've got. Obviously, you can make your own little marker and stuff to sort of see how far you've got up, or a little dice to see how many levels you've got, whatever. I guess there's 6 of them, so a D6 handily, records what level you're on, right?
I wouldn't mind putting some kind of resealable thing over the sleeve, so you can sort of peel it back and go, I'm going to unlock these other abilities.
Yeah, there's probably plenty of fun ways you could do to sort of, manipulate that thing. Obviously, a D6 sort of is the cheap and cheerful way of doing it.
And you also do get that thing of, do you need to give your opponent the information as to what abilities you can get in the future by still in the moment? But yeah.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine this is very much public information that, you can't hide of. Yeah. I don't think you'll be able to hide what is on this card in terms of, what you might be able to unlock if you level up this turn or whatever.
So as we level up, we do get more powerful, a lot stronger abilities. We start off with critical attack. Enhance. This weapon attack gets +1 damage for each attack in your card pool. Seems decent.
Okay, so, I guess this tells us 2 things about what he's trying to do, right? He's playing weapons. That sort of makes sense, I guess, thematically. You've got that swanky dagger of his, and he obviously wants to string. This is one of those ones similar to sort of, thinking like an Emir, right? Where it starts off smallish and then just ramps up the more attacks you play. Your first one's getting your +1, +2, +3, +4. So it really starts to get big. So you really want to start ramping up that damage and getting as many weapon attacks in your card pool as you can. And the only downside is you are sort of then pretty hard locked into playing weapon package. But with Death, Life and all, Death certainly has a good selection of weapons. Life, probably not so much. I suppose, Life has the Toga stuff, right?
And Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan 1, 2, and 3 next year with the Life-attuned weapon packages with the Thunder Spears and the hate stuff.
All is probably the one that you're maybe lacking most, but obviously he's going to have some all weapon attacks, I would guess, in this pet kit as we get there. So
very good, cool ability, very strong, and the fact that you just get to get one for each attack in your card pool, like I said, means you're stringing out, so you're going to be looking for lots of card draw. And as we get further down here, we'll see that if you do let Sunjin get to full power, that first level is going to be very crucial. Second level, Murderous Intent. This is one I called when I was doing my video. I thought it was going to be called Bloodlust, however, and it's first enhance, once per turn, reduces attack speed to 0. I love this. This is cool. Second level, which means if you're going first on your opponent's first attack turn, you can have this up and ready to go. On your opponent's second attack turn, when you're going second, you'll have this up ready to go. Yes, as you quite rightly point out, you do need to debuild or essentially play the first few turns as a 5-hander to unlock these abilities. But having that ability on face is very strong.
It is. I would have almost liked to have seen these the other way around, right? I mean, again, from a thematic perspective, I don't know, but I'd almost like to be able to unlock that defensive ability early in order to then give me the ability to ramp up quickly, right?
So yeah, that makes a lot more sense, like from a play style, but from adaptation, as you quite well said, in the show, he puts all of his skill points, he puts all of his stuff into strength and attacking first, and he learns Murderous Intent and unlocks the Bloodlust through combat, and basically after he's gone through his critical attacks, he's got his other stuff. When he's fighting another hunter, that's when he learns Murderous Intent and Bloodlust, and basically gets the aspect of it. So unfortunately, it did come later on. It was after a few more leveling up. And to put it in a game perspective, you don't really level up quickly. Playing defensively at the start, you need to be aggressive to level up.
Sure, yeah. Just purely from a playing this on the table, I would have liked the defensive one to be first, just so you've got that extra time to set up to start getting to his like second, third, fourth, and fifth, 6 levels.
But from a play style, from a Universus style, switching those makes perfect sense because it keeps you alive longer, and you want to be alive to at least turn 7 so you can get your full abilities in play. But from an adaptation style, the order kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but it's a good, powerful ability, right? Of just setting a thing to 0, just saying, do you want to add some speed? Like, your opponent plays an attack, it's very blockable, and it's like, I'm just going to pause. You can press your buttons, and if in the moment you make this speed and you spend your momentum on EX or whatever, I'm setting it to 0. Otherwise, it's quite blockable, so I don't need to use this. And we can play a little bit of sort of chicken around that.
Who doesn't need a 5th barrier shield on all?
What?
Who doesn't need a 5th barrier shield on all?
Exactly. Like again, it's a really nice ability. So one obviously you want to try and unlock ASAP.
Yeah, it's a very strong ability. Then we get Quicksilver, Enhance, once per turn, this attack gets +3 speed. Not the biggest fan of the fact this was put to once per turn. I would love to see it more like the first Enhance and more a gradual speed for the stringing, but
maybe.
Still very powerful, but for a 3rd level ability, I was hoping to get something a little bit more impactful.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, obviously there is that battle between thematic stuff and power level, right? And it's possible that doing more, doing that similar ramping speed would have been a problem. And also, what is it? Rinku sort of does that already. So it's just sort of copying that. So there's at least, it's not interesting. It's +3 speed. It's decent. So, it's what it is.
It does give you kind of like a pseudo Toga 3 where you go, my first attack's going to get 3 speed and 1 damage as opposed to 3 speed and 2 damage. But if you play it a bit later on down the line, it makes you even better than Toga because you can go, okay, you've blocked my stuff, you're limited the resources, here's my last attack, give it 3 speed, give it 4 damage, this is getting through. Yeah,
and also it makes them a great poker, right? So, you play your attack, I'll give it the +1 damage, I'm not giving it the +3 speed, and your opponent's like, well, I probably don't want to interact with this one because there's going to be one coming in with +3 speed later with more damage, and then you're like, cool, build 2 pass, right? So there's games to play with that, right? So
now this is a very cool one. Our 4th level ability is Dagger Throw. Enhance once per turn, your weapon attack gains Echo.
Yeah, he's good, but weirdly is a non-bow with his 1st level, right?
Yeah,
because you get to +1 twice on the Echo, but after that, you've got to flip it, and all of a sudden, now you've not got so much of that ramping damage.
Yeah, but I mean, getting to Echo, Coordinated Strike, Double Blades,
Deception Dagger,
Gouging Needle.
Yeah, like giving any attack Echo is really good. Like, it's really powerful, and that sort of, again, just from looking at how they probably would have power level kind of tweaked this, it not working so well with his first ability makes sense from a power level thing, right? It not saying +1 for each attack you played this turn. It would always do that, and it mostly works the same, except it would then sort of double down on this Echo things, having them work slightly at odds with each other. Sort of makes sense, but just from a balancing perspective.
You got to hit that point, diminishing return. You're losing 1 damage to all your future attacks to have this very impactful attack be played twice.
Yeah.
An Echo Deception Dagger is just nasty.
Yeah, it's you've got to have invested a lot to get to level 4 by this point, right, and survived. And if you haven't got momentum by this point, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah, a very strong ability just to be able to pick any sort of really good weapon attack and just say, yeah, it's got Echo. I'm playing this one twice.
Then we move on to our 5th level ability, Stealth. This is very, very cool. This is something I thought would be more a late game sort of unblockable sort of super speed. But Stealth basically just going once per turn, change the zone of this attack. Very, very cool. I like the Stealth thing. I don't think it really conveys stealth. I think this could be more like a feint attack sort of thing where you go, oh, you think I'm going high but I'm going low.
Well, it's sort of both, right? And Stealth is a bit more generic in terms of offense and defense because it doesn't say your attack.
Yeah.
You get to use this on offense and you get to use it on defense. So Stealth is a bit more like, I'm stealthy, so I sort of see you coming, or I get the drop on you, so I'm good for defending and also from attacking. So, rather than it being... Stealth is a more...
It's more stealth
balanced word rather than offensively oriented.
Yeah.
So
it's more stealth from a perception point of view rather than a combat point of view. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being able to change on the attack, going, our usual example, Deception Dagger, be able to go, this mid attack is now a low. I gave it Echo and all sorts, and just getting to go, let's pop off.
Yeah. Or... actually, I will change your thing to a high and showdown block it because that's on all right.
Yeah, you can just go make it speed 0, make it a high, showdown.
Yeah. You can definitely do that on death, right? A very good defensive ability, or just saying, well, it's all a low now. I'm going to make my Deception Dagger a low. And do you want to block that, or do you want to block my back abyss?
Make it speed 0, give it, make it a mid. Double jumbo fist, breaker 3. Let's go.
Yeah, it's not a weapon though, is it? So you're
not a weapon, no. But
yeah, it's again a very nice flexible ability.
Again, I wish this had been more like a twice per turn being a level 5 ability, but it's once per turn still fine.
Again, it's big because you get to do it on offense and defense. So I think that's the wrinkle there, is that it's good on both sides.
And then our maxed out ability, level 6, Ruler's Authority. Enhance, add 1 XP card from your remove pile to your hand. Ruler's Authority is essentially Sun Jin Woo's telekinetic ability, the ability to will objects and people to not move or to move, and just essentially manipulate the environment around him by moving objects and people to his will, his Ruler's Authority. And this is such a strong ability.
Oh, it's bonkers. So obviously it depends, and we'll see whether you've got attacks on XP cards, right? Hopefully we do. I can't remember from having my brief look through them. But let's say you spend sort of your 6 turns, whatever, building up a hefty stage, maybe getting a poking for momentum or 2, removing, let's say out of those 6 cards you've removed, let's say 3 of them are attacks, right? The moment you've leveled up to this, and then if your opponent doesn't kill you, you then level up to this. On their turn, you can pick up all those 3 XP foundations that you've put in as extra blocks, and then it comes to your turn, and all of a sudden you're a 9-hander, and 3 of those are the ones you've stored all those for later, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's probably a way of thinking about sort of playing this guy, is that when you're losing those XP cards to his response, it's almost thinking about putting away on layaway. That's probably a lot of what his game plan is going to be, is that if I can't necessarily push through early, I'm going to defend, build my stage, get myself level to 6, and then I've put these key attacks on layaway and I'm going to kill you.
The first thing I did when I saw this was immediately go and double check what incubating symbols were. Because just be able to, if I can remove cards I want in my discard and just go, all my XP cards that I've gone, I have every block zone I want. I have every attack zone I want. And when you look at things like Genkai's Guidance, a Cape of No Return, you're like, cool. They no longer matter as long as I have another attack in my hand. Because I play my attack, they Genkai's it, goes, I go, cool. I'll play my other attack, first in hand, I'll pick that attack back up, thank you very much.
Yeah, because it doesn't say an XP card you've removed due to his level up ability, right? It's just a removed XP card. So, like, even on all, you can play Sugar Rush, right?
If you cycle, you can just
go
pick
up cycle.
It's like, it basically turns you into a Endeavor 3, but his form isn't once per turn. It's, although you have to
once per attack. And again, you can do it on offense, you can do it on defense, so you can pick stuff up. Again, they obviously have 2 XP cards, so you can't just like remove a showdown and therefore always have access to a showdown, whatever like that. Yeah. But that's the sort of balancing thing. But ultimately, if you've gone through the hoops of surviving 6 or 7 turns and building up the stage and getting to this point, you probably deserve to win the game. And this is a game finishing sort of ability. Yeah. All you need is to draw a single attack in your hand of 6 cards, and then you're off to the races because everything's drawing you a card, right?
This is why I said in the challenger format, this is going to be an absolute beast because it's a lot slower because you're playing with reconstructed decks. Getting to level 6 is going to be a lot easier, and once you hit level 6, you're just kind of popping off. But I am very excited. Look at the design of this card; it looks like a tablet. I know you haven't seen the show, but it looks like essentially the system windows he gets to tell him what his skills are when he levels up, what's his inventory. It looks very, very cool. I wish they'd gone for like the blue highlighted outline, but I know for people who have visual impairments that might not be the best. It would have been very aesthetic, very good for the IP, but this was a better choice for accessibility.
I wonder whether there's an alt-art version of this.
Oh, there better be an alt-art version of this. If there's an alt-art version of every single card, it would be very cool to see the alt-art version of this.
It's not numbered, right? So it's not in the deck, in theory. I would guess no, but it would be really cool if there really was like a chase alt-art version of this.
Card is just covered in blood.
Or just, it doesn't, again, whatever the sort of treatment
that's what I want. I want the exact same card we have here, but it's just got blood spatters over it.
Again, I'm sure Zoe would have millions of ideas for this, but just go ham with it and just remove the text, right? And you just have level 1 critical attack, level 2 murderous intent. You don't have
an alt tab for each level. No.
As in, you've got the 6 levels.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Skill Tree, you've got the 6 levels, but just remove the enhanced text. We're going to assume we've got a normal one, and it just says level 1 murderous intent.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I guess it's kind of Godzilla-y, but
yeah. Again, it becomes less of a game piece. You sort of need to have the normal one next to you, but I'm guessing there isn't an alt-art version of this, but it'll be cool if there was.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do after this video drops is immediately go searching around trying to find the alt-arts like I did with the Star Trek 11X, and immediately put a video out on that. But let's move on as we go into the actual meat and bones of the deck. Surprisingly, we're starting off with the asset Hunter's Dagger. 0 cost, 5 control, 1 low block, unique weapon. Enhance commit, your non-throw attack gains weapon. If it deals damage, add 3 bleed counters to this card. Response tenacious, remove 1 bleed counter. After your rival plays an attack, if their health is 3 or greater, they lose 1 health. I love that bit, but let's just immediately... and it's also death attuned, because we've got to make sure we rest for that.
Yeah, so obviously we're seeing more tune stuff back. I think after the lower deck stuff, that's to be expected.
Yeah, I'm expecting lots of hybrid stuff for the future, but let's just immediately address the elephant in the room here. This is not an action. The action should come first. But that means that there's no action in this challenger. That's quite unique. Every challenger.
I think so. I would guess if there was an action, it would come first. I don't think there is, from what I remember, and that's okay. I think actions are a cool thing in the game, but one of the most complicated things to explain.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with actions just not being in challenger decks and having them as that sort of intermediary product after the clash decks, and just having them not in there. I'm okay with that.
If the action had been anything other than Bloodlust or Arise, I probably would have kicked off. So not having any is probably the best move. But Hunter's Dagger seems really cool. It is a shame not to see actions, but as you quite rightly point out, new players seem to have the biggest issues with actions and knowing when to play them. We have got videos up for that now, but I think going for an asset straight away is very cool. And as you said, he's more of a weapon build, so having assets instead of actions means that he has more actions to his weapons. How do we feel about giving our non-throw attacks weapon?
So I don't know how important or relevant that text is.
I think it's very relevant, since we have an ability at third level that says we give a weapon attack echo.
Sure. But do we really want to play non-weapons in our deck just in the hopes we get this in our stage?
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it probably is going to work in the context of the challenger deck, because that text says there are some cards in this deck that aren't weapons, right, in terms of attacks. So from that context, it's fine. But I think if you're looking at building Sun Jin Woo with non-challenger cards, right, which is going to be tricky because he's going to want to play as many XP cards as he can. I'd almost sort of throw away that text and I'd play mono weapons. But like, it can be useful. Like, you give something weapon, and there's obviously his stuff triggers off it. You can use deception, daggers, enhance ability, that sort of, momentum ability, things like that. Again, just playing non-weapons in the hope that you get this in your stage to turn on his ability seems a bit counterintuitive.
I mean, it's not a cost, so you can't just give any of your attacks.
Again, so from that perspective, I just sort of ignore it. What it actually does is okay. Like,
I don't get the significance of 3 or greater. They could have just said 1 or greater and still had the exact same effect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Or 2 or greater, I guess, because they still...
There's probably a balancing thing there, right? But even so, you've got to play this 0 diff asset. It's a 0 diff asset, so it's cheap to play. Mimic doesn't have death, does he?
No, I checked.
Okay. You've got to connect with a weapon.
A non-throw.
Yeah, you got to connect with a weapon attack, and then your opponent just got to loses 1 health whenever they play an attack. I feel like it's going to be a little bit annoying, but at the cost of a card and the setup doesn't feel worth it. Like, I'm sure it's quite thematic. I'm sure that what he does with the dagger is, he poisons people or gives them a wound that doesn't heal or something. I don't know.
The Hunter's Dagger, not so much. The Basilisk Dagger, however, would be a poison. But this is a bleed, so this is more like a 1,000 cuts kind of thing. Yeah,
so I guess the thematic here is that he's cut them, and therefore them going in for an attack and exerting themselves is making the bleed even more.
It's also kind of one of those things
cool. It's thematic. I just don't think it's powerful.
It's a low blocking challenger, which is very vital. See, there's a lot of decks have their kill attack being lows. So for the challenger series, this is a great card.
It'll be good enough in the challenger deck because there's almost certainly going to be attacks that aren't weapons that you want this in play to do that. But
would you run this over Knott's Flask?
No, exactly. Again, if you're building Sun Jin Woo in standard, I think this is like the first card that comes out of your deck.
That's right. And then we have our second asset of the deck, which is again a nice, unique aspect. The fact we've got 2 assets. The Teleportation Stone. Now, I thought this would be the Night Slayer Dagger, which we see him holding in the card. But we have Teleportation Stone, 3 diff, 5 control, 2 mid block, unique. Response: remove, after you block an attack, your rival must play a non-attack card as the next form. Flavor text: should I call it and leave Sun Jin Woo? And then we have this as an all attuned.
Yeah, so this is just learn the standards. Every smiles. So he's not on the standards on all. I don't think it is.
Void, Earth, and Order.
Let me just.
But learn to just rotate in March. You know what is on all? Every Smiles.
Every Smiles. Yeah. So I was just saying, I'm wondering whether you can play 12 learning the standards. You cannot. Well, actually, I suppose you could. What is Every Smiles?
Every Smile is all good.
All good and air. Okay.
You can play 8 max.
Yeah, you can see what this lets you do is effectively, like I say, play 8 learning the standards in a deck. It is unique, so you probably don't necessarily play 4 of these. But learning standards, that stop hitting me now, please, has always been a very powerful ability and one that's useful.
You put this in Rodan, who also has all. Does Rodan have all?
Yeah.
So you run it all, and you then get Every Smiles. You get so you then get this, and if you play on Void, you get Cape. And you can just sit there with assets that go, "You stop hitting me, please."
It's good. Like again, it's one of those things that is going to be important. I think more important in Sun Jin Woo because he wants the game to go longer, right? He wants to get to turn 6, and this is a way of saying, "Please stop hitting me." And hopefully then you get another turn, right?
I'd be interested to see what kind of damage reduction we have to deal with that, because I guess you have to block the attack to deal with it.
So actually, sorry, it's not quite learning the standards. Right? Learning the standards is if they hit you, then they can do this. This is
Every Smiles.
A better version, right? Because it says I don't have to take damage. I can I'll be first enhanced, set your thing to 0, block, you now need to play on attack.
Which is very good and very powerful. I do like this a lot. I think this will be a nice standard one-of in all decks, or even
This is a card that could easily see play in standard decks because, again, maybe as a sideboard option, but learning the standards has always been a card that's either been in main decks or sideboard, and the same with Every Smiles. So I can certainly see this. And assets are just harder to interact with than foundations, right? So
assets are very hard to deal with. I do love this because this is where he's taking part in his first system dungeon, and he's just contemplating whether he should continue along with the dungeon or whether he should quit and leave, which is the option you have here with the card. Do I get them to quit their attack run, or do I leave it and see how deep they are actually planning on going?
But yeah, it's really good.
So then we move on to our first rare attack. Clash with the Blood Red. So this is Ingress the Knight. This is part of Sun Jin Woo's class choice mission. This is a 5 diff, 3 control, 5 high for 5, 1 high block, weapon XP, blitz. Each player reveals the top card of the deck. If the check value of the revealed card is higher than or equal to your rival commits 2 foundations. Otherwise, draw 1 card and your rival mills 1. All attuned. Yeah,
so this is solid. Again, obviously, the first thing to note is it is a weapon attack. It is a weapon. It is an XP card. So we are getting XP cards on attacks, which you'd assume. So again, one you can store away for later. A really good opener. Either you get to stun 2, or you get to draw a card.
And your rival mills 1. See,
the mill one is like whatever is.
Well, basically, if they have a 5 on top and they beat you, they mill that 5, so their block can possibly get worse.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, so again, you get to sort of ruin it. Okay, yeah.
If they've got a 3 on top, if they've got a 3 on top, it stays there, and you draw 2.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. So, yeah, I think at first glance, this seems like, one of those kind of challenger deck, okay openers, but actually, if you think about it in those terms, so what happens if you draw the check value equal to your rival commits 2 foundations. So if you both hit a 5, then it stays on top.
Yeah.
But
if you both do badly, or if you lose it, then that goes away. Your attack gets easier. I do love the flavor text on here. Do I have a hope of beating this guy? Because this is one of the times that Sun Jin Woo was completely outclassed in a fight. He shouldn't have won this fight. He won on a technicality, which is great. He kind of outpaced his opponent, and Ingress put his sword down to fight in fisticuffs, not knowing that Jinwoo could summon the dagger back to him. So the engaging in physical, he just pulls the dagger out of nowhere and stabs him. But yeah, I love this. I love this card.
The other part of this card that's, again, maybe a little subtle in terms of you confirm your next check, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a 3, you know it's a 3, I need to back off. Or if it's a 5, well, I'm good. So, yes, it's going to be a solid opener in Sun Jing-Woo. Whether it's his play outside, I don't know, but it's solid stats, a 5/5/5. It's a weapon.
If this wasn't all attuned, if we were doing the 3 symbol cards, if this was an all Death Life, Toga 3 plays the hell out of this.
Maybe. She's really clogged at the 5 diff slot. So
yeah, but I mean, this would be an 8/7 that either draws you a card or gets your opponent to commit additional 2 foundations on top of the one you already did.
Yeah, again, could be for consideration, right? But I think it's
Levi
one.
I think play this quite well. Levi could probably play this quite well.
Again, it's a solid one, and I think one that will be open for consideration. I think for standard play.
For a challenger rare, this is great.
Yeah, it's solid.
I like this. It's great to see Blitz there. I do hope we see some enhances on attacks. I really hope we've not kind of killed enhances. But this
and also, assuming just from the artwork we're seeing on these are screen caps from the series?
Yes. These are not manhwa adaptations. These are screen caps from it. I'm loving the border, like having that intrusion sort of aspect, like we saw on the skill level card.
Yeah.
Making it feel more
again, it's part of that stylization that Zoe and her team does per set, right?
If you also take a look at the attack zone and the damage, you can see cracks and shadows starting to come in, which is very thematic for this IP.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a rare for Challenger, this is everything I could expect. And being a weapon XP card, if you've got it in your opening hand when you're going first, you can go, cool, I'll stash this for later, and we get to go. Well, that's one question we did have. If it's going from your hand to removed from play, it stays face down because it's gone from a private zone to a public zone. So your opponent wouldn't even know what you had there.
Yeah, I don't know. Removed from game pile. Obviously, you have to look into the rules and whether that is.
If you're judging and you have the answer to that question, let me know. Would it go face up or would it go face down? I'm sure we've never had something where you get to.
No, you would have to reveal it because you'd have to confirm.
Oh, you have to confirm it's XP. Yes, you'd have to confirm it's XP.
Yeah.
There we go. If it wasn't for that stipulation, you probably could. So let's move on to the uncommon attack, number 5. Determined Cut, 4 diff, 4 high, 3 damage, 3 control, 1 mid block, powerful 3, weapon XP, response. After your rival plays an enhanced ability, they lose 1 life. This is Sun Jing-Woo taking on the Basilisk Snake, one of his toughest, and where he gets the Basilisk Dagger, which inflicts poison. I love the way they captured action. When we had Zoe on, like you were referencing, they were talking about capturing action, capturing motion in cards through screen grabs is very hard. This is a perfect example of how the design team have been able to do this. And I love the look of this card, and that response is just nuts.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it works on every enhance they do, right? They just bleed for 1, and it doesn't say they don't die, so they can kill them. Yes, solid, right? It's the nice block. It's a 4 high, low damage. So, but if you think about if you're going to be playing this as like your 3rd or 4th in a string, you're getting that +3, +4 damage from Sun Jing-Woo. And it's got that powerful 3, so this is a really good end of string finisher. If they have to interact and try and interact, they're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, you want to reduce the speed of my attack.
In the meantime,
if you want to reduce the speed of my attack, burn 1. If you want to draw cards to block this, burn 1. If you want to do anything, you burn 1. What I would have loved to have seen, though, however, is changing that C to an R and seeing that response be card pool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because then you could block with it, and then there'd be shenanigans. Yeah, and solid again. Weapon XP is what you want.
That's how you get. That's how you stay alive with Sun Jing-Woo. You change that to card pool. And you go, okay, I'll block. I'll take half damage, and every enhance you play now is burning you for 1. End your turn.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next card. It's another uncommon, number 6. 4 diff, 3 control, 3 mid for 4. We've seen a few mids. 1 high block. Enough of this. Frenzy Fury, Blitz. This card does not count towards progressive difficulty to play foundations.
Yeah, so...
Would you like to remind us of what Frenzy does?
Yeah, so Frenzy is another Blitz ability that says this attack gets +1/+1 for each attack your opponent has blocked this turn. So it's sort of an odd one in terms of the way this works, in that the not progressive for foundations almost wants to work as I poke with this. If it gets in, it gets in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then I'm going to build out.
Yeah.
But Frenzy obviously wants to work at the end of a string. So I guess this is like an early game poke, a late game string finisher.
I see it the other way around. I think there's been a few times where if I've got like 2 or 1 difficulty foundations in my hand, and my opponent's like blocked the first 2 attacks, like I need to get some damage through, but I also need to build out. But if I play this attack, my build becomes harder. Enough of this basically goes, you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You play this, and then you can also build out a little bit more.
So it's not crazy powerful. Like, it's very 3 mid, but it's flexible and probably do a job in him. And again, it's got a really nice 1 high block.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The only things this doesn't have going for it is it has neither the weapon nor the XP keyword. So this
the
is
asset takes care of that. It's fine.
Sure, but it doesn't have the XP keyword. So this is one you probably do want to try and poke with and then get into momentum. The sort of the frenzy makes up for the fact that you can't give it weapon. So it gets +1 damage for each weapon attack in your card pool. So you could stack damage on this, but it doesn't count itself.
Yeah, unless you've got the Hunter's Dagger in play.
But yeah, you can't obviously stash this from your hand into momentum. So, sorry, not into momentum, into your XP pile. So it's fine. Again, probably one of the ones that if you're looking to upgrade your Sun Jinwoo, you're probably going to be cutting. But it's got that nice 1 high block. So
I was going to say, I don't think we've seen any +3 block modifiers. It's only 1 or 2 so far, which is really cool to see from these early ones. But I think, as I said, this is the end of a string. This is where you've got your weapons. You're not planning getting any more. It's already getting +1/+1 for everything that's been blocked, so the weapon doesn't really matter as much. Mm-hmm. The lack of XP is a bit of a shame, but if they gave all the cards in his deck XP, it would be a little bit overpowered.
Yeah, again, there's not an expectation that everything's an XP in the same way that everything in the Deku one wasn't just a vestige, right?
Exactly. So let's move on to Grasp for Survival. This is Sun Jinwoo desperately trying to stay alive. You can see the desperation on his face there. 4 cost, 3 control, 1 mid, 4 damage, 3 mid block. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Throw XP response. After you block with this card, gain 2 health, life attuned. We did mention the last one. The last one was life attuned.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to see the life attuned, and this is a great way to get damage in for 2 or to heal for 2.
Yeah, so this is going to do, again, multiple rolls. It's an early poke to get in, get a momentum, so you can use it on your Echo once you've leveled up. 1, you don't mind necessarily stashing away as an XP, because then late game, you could play this at the end of the string, get a whole load of damage on it, right? It's not a weapon, but it is a throw, so you sort of, you get your +4 in that end of that string, and then this gets the whole bunch on that. And it's also then a defensive sort of, it's not got a great block modifier, but if you're setting their speed to 0, it doesn't matter. Gain a little bit of health, survive to get to that 6.
And this is a great
again,
card.
It's going to be a role player. Again, not a weapon, not ideal, but you got to make that asset do something.
But it is an XP card that we can pick up at the end of a string to go, you die now.
Yeah, exactly.
You are dying. I am grasping for survival, either gaining health through blocking or killing you here with this attack.
Or echoing the throw.
Oh,
no, you can't. It's not a weapon.
Yeah, but you can give it.
No, you could give it weapon, then echo the throw.
So then we move on to our next uncommon attack, Killing Intent. 5 diff, 3 control, 1 low block, 4 low for 5, stun 1, fury weapon, not having that XP keyword this time.
Mm-hmm.
Death attuned, blitz, seal 1 rival foundation with a difficulty of 2 or less.
Yeah, really nice. It's an off zone, it's got an off zone block, stun 1, seal their best defensive foundation, kinda. A really nice opener.
Yeah, you can't really touch things like...
It's an uncommon, right? You're not expecting huge amounts of it. Again, we're not missing XP, but again, I would not have expected every single card to have XP, but it does have weapon. It is a Death Fury, if that matters for other things outside of Sun Jinwoo, right? Because, you don't want all of these things to just be working in Sungeon, where you want like the challenger decks to have a little bit of impact on standard. I don't know if this does, but sealing foundations is always good. Like having a stun one, it's a 4 low 5. It's got a nice block, so maybe a role player somewhere is solid.
I mean, there's a fair few things you would want to seal, especially seeing as they lose all abilities. If you're looking at the current, say, meta, we haven't seen what AOT2's brought in, but if you're able to seal these destruction foundations that remove when they hit the discard, if you just go, no, that you've got one left, that's sealed, you don't get to use any of its abilities. That's
sealing an immortal shapeshifter, sealing an incredible display, all these sort of things.
Decoy duplicates, broken psyche.
Yeah, there's plenty worth sealing. So, it's good. It's a solid role player.
Deaf-attuned as well, so very, very, very nice. An additional stun one. This is one I could give Echo if the 5's a bit worrying, but I'd happily give this Echo.
Well, again, it's a lead off, right? You've got the stun one and the seal, so this is what you want to lead off. So this is one you'd happily give Echo and therefore get stun 2 and seal their 2 best foundations.
So let's move on to our next rare attack. The Venom Fang Dagger. This is the Basilisk Dagger that he gets from defeating the Giant Snake that we saw earlier in the art. 4 difficulty, 3 control, 3 low for 3 with a 2 low block, Deaf-attuned weapon, no XP still. We run out of XP cards. Response, after this attack deals damage, your next weapon gets X damage, X equals this attack's damage.
Yeah, so I guess obviously the fact that they're not all XP cards is sort of a balancing thing to the just stashing away a handful of 6 attacks. Again, this is okay. They're sort of almost priced to block it because this is at the very, assuming even you open with this one, right? You're giving it the +1, so it's going to be a 3 low 4. And says either you block it or my next comes coming in with 4.
Even if you played this as your second or third attack and went, here's +3 speed, here's +3 damage, and then you could because it's Deaf-attuned, you can mess about with things like combined firepower, immortal shapeshifter, school festival, and you can just go, I need this to hit and have significant enough damage that the throw I guess you need a weapon throw, but the next one I'm going to play after this is coming at you with this poisonous damage on top.
Well, it could be a weapon throw if you got
because your next weapon attack would check when you play it. Yeah. I can see why this wasn't an XP card, because Rules Authority having access to this would be brutal. It's one of those 3 damage attacks that you go, I'll take it, but I'm not happy about it because I'm going to block the next one that's going to have +3 damage.
Well, you say that, but you're almost priced into, or not priced into, but you're incentivized to load up the damage on this one and make it worth blocking, or just say, I'm going to play this. Either you take it, in which case my next one, and you're going to sort of sell out to block the next one. In which case, actually, no, this one was just a poke. I've got momentum.
Is it even worth ever half blocking this? If it's just base damage, if it's just 3 damage. You don't half block it really. You only reduce the damage by 1, and your opponent's still getting +3 to the next.
Yeah, so not
unless
it's
killing you. I don't really think.
No.
Yeah, I think unless you can fully block it, or you think your opponent has no attacks left, you kind of have to stop this attack. This as a second attack in Dabby would be great.
Yeah,
it's a 3 low for 6. If I chuck the +8 onto it and give it a throw.
Well, no. It's 3 low for 6, and then you find some way of increasing the speed, and then the next attack. So you make sure this connects. Then your next attack comes with +9 because you've given it the +3 from Dabby, and then the +6 from this, and then you give that one +8 and throw. That's how you do that one.
Yeah, or we could do the Elder Toguro Sports Festival champ thing where we make this like a 10-10. And then the next one comes in and we play the next Sports Festival champ and make the next one 10. It's borderline abusable with the characters we have. However, you have to jump through some hoops to do it. Timmy
and it is just 3 low. But your best thing to probably do with this one is not interact with it in terms of, I'm just sending it. Do you want to spend some resources blocking a 3 low 3?
I'd rather get a card out of your hand or +3 to my hand.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a win for me.
Yeah.
And I can give my stuff Echo. Do you really want to give me momentum? Let's move on back to a common attack now. Wolf Assassin. This is where Sungjin Woo is leveling up his abilities through taking out some metal-jawed wolves in his first system dungeon. 5 diff, 5 mid, 5, 1 mid block, 3 control. They do like their 5 speed, 5 damage attacks in this deck. All attuned, Fury weapon XP's back, and Blitz. Add 1 XP foundation from your discard pile to your hand.
So this is obviously a common attack. It's a 5 diff, it's a 5 mid 5, it's a 1 mid block. So all of that's really boring. Yeah. But this is going to be the glue for his deck, right? Because it's weapon, it's XP, and it basically lets you plus hand size, specifically an XP card, so you can level up. So this is like the early attack where you just like, I send a 5 mid 5. I've got my extra card that I needed this turn in order to be able to level up. Chip it, right? Exactly. So unplayable outside of Sung Jin Woo, but going to be probably one of the glue parts of his kit in terms of keeping them going together.
Speaking of increasing your hand size, that fits in very well with the flavor text of the bonus for leveling up is all my stats go up by 1, which is cool, I guess. So by playing Wolf Assassin, get to pick
You've
up
got the card then to level up. So yeah, works.
It's very, very cool. I love this. And hopefully we've not seen the XP foundations yet, but maybe there'll be even some ones that are worth playing or holding for blocking. And because you can still remove foundations from your stage, as we said, so even as deadlock outs on face, you can still remove one for deadlock, so you can build to 11 and go, okay, I'll start my end phase, I'll remove one of my committed XPs, level up, and I'm still ready to go and build in my fresh new board.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you might have an XP foundation that you actually want in your stage, and therefore you just build the one you pick up with this, and then just remove the one from your stage you don't want, right?
And here we have our closer, the UR attack, the one I'm most excited to see the alt art for, and the absolute nonsense this card's going to get up to. World's Weakest Hunter. The art looks absolutely amazing here. You can see the aftermath of a very intense battle where he's still in his base kid form when he's like the beginning of the series where he's taking on the first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was assuming this is like very early days.
This is like episode 1 flashback stuff. 4 cost, 3 control, 5 mid yet again. That is 3 damage, 2 mid block, EX3, weapon, XP, all attuned, response. After this attack deals damage, you may remove 1 foundation from your stage, draw 1 card for each card you remove from game pile, max 3.
Okay, so this doesn't do a lot of damage, right?
No, it's only 3 damage.
But it can draw you 3 cards.
Yes.
Obviously, in Sung Jin Woo, turning that on is really easy. He just gets to do it, right? It's a shame that he doesn't have like almost like a trigger, right, in terms of this letting you sort of get a cheeky level up, in that it's just part of his response at the end of the turn, rather than you being able to play this, it deals damage, I remove that XP foundation, I then get to level up. You just have to remove foundation to draw 3.
There is a distinct lack of cheating level up. Maybe we'll see it in the foundations. For me, removing a foundation isn't part of the cost. So if you're going into the late part of the game... It's not like Trigraph Beam. You don't have to. Yeah. So you just get to draw cards if you hit, and you can give this Echo. The damage is immediately mitigated by the first level where we can just keep giving it damage. So it's a minimum of a 5/4. EX3, and you're going to try and get a hit. And it's another thing.
Like, as we've seen, Sung Jin Woo's going to want momentum anyway for plenty of things. So... like, you got 2 momentum. I'll play this. I'll give it my +3 speed for the turn.
You're a big Rodan fan.
I'll then give it Echo.
Yeah. You're a big Rodan fan.
I'll spend my second momentum to Echo.
Rodan likes this?
Probably pretty good. Again, the issue with Rodan, right, is that it just is a very 3 damage move. And if you're playing on all, you don't get to play combined firepower trigger stuff.
True.
But if you've got
attuned. It's all
attuned. Okay, so if you can play this combined firepower, this, you remove a card, you then stack damage on it. So there's almost certainly shenanigans there, right? With anyone that is playing.
You get the speed, you get to play combined firepower, it hits. You remove another card, you're immediately drawing 2. You're probably drawing 3 because you're not playing this first. Mm-hmm. And Rodan just gets to keep popping off. This card's going to see play in anyone that can play it.
Yeah, anyone that can do the remove from game stuff, right? Yeah. So I don't know whether like the Mecha Godzilla has all. I don't think so. Yeah. But yeah, again, I could see us him playing Rodan. This certainly looks like the most powerful one. You got to be able to hit with it, but it's a reasonably high base speed of 5, right?
Yeah, and then it's got EX3 on top of that as well.
It's very mid. I'm just allergic to mid.
We had a way to change its zone.
Exactly. But like once you get to that point, you're drawing 1 million cards from your remove from game pile anyway. But
no, that's the level before. So
I know. But yeah, this is a powerful one, and I can certainly see
that. I just realised.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play this, you can remove an XP card, and then when you play your next attack, you can just pick up that XP card.
Yeah. Or you've got a face-down attack in the stage somehow, right?
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, so it's just going to be a way of drawing a bunch of cards. As long as, again, I think outside of it's going to be really good in Sun Jing-Woo because, again, you've got ways of putting damage on it on your face. In other characters, you're going to need somewhere for putting damage on the face. Combined Firepower is obviously like one of the easy ways of doing that. And Combined Firepower gives you that remove from games, so this is almost always going to draw 3. And Rodan seems like an obvious choice, as you say, because he gets put speed on to make sure it does connect.
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying, it's a shame that Attack on Titan doesn't have all because this kind of weapon card would go nicely to Attack on Titan. Younger to go could still play this because you could commit a face down and go, it's a 5x, you need to block it, I'm just going to remove that face down and go draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
as long as you're filling the requirements of this card, right? The requirements are, I can get stuff from my remove from game pile other than this card. As I said, I guess even if you aren't doing anything else, it's a cantrip if it hits. But at that point, it's just a 3 damage move, so it needs to be doing more to be exciting.
For a UR for this character, I think this is perfect.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting one, and I think something people are going to try and play with outside of Sun Jing-Woo, and will be good in Sun Jing-Woo.
Let's move on to the foundations now.
Mm-hmm.
Starting off with our UR foundation, Double Dungeon. 3 diff, 5 control, 1 mid block, unique XP response. After you level up, ready this card. Love that. Enhance your turn, remove, level up. You cannot level up again this turn. Not the biggest fan of that.
So this does 2 things, right? So, well, I guess it does multiple things. Like, it's a nice 1 mid block. It's an XP card you can remove from your hand as part of your normal abilities.
Yeah.
You can build it. It's like your carbo load, one of your standard do a thing, re-ready type cards, which you're only going to get to do 5 times a game. The main thing this does is, okay, so I'm on level 4. I then go to my end of turn. I level up to level 5. My opponent's like, right, I've got 1 turn. Like, I've got 1 turn before you go Super Saiyan on me. But actually, if you've got this in stage, you effectively get to jump ahead a turn on your turn, so you always get the double dip, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you get this, you play an attack. This is my first chance. I level up. I get to that next ability before my end of turn. So it's the same cost.
Pick it back up. So you going down a resource. Say you make it to 10 foundations.
You're not. It's not saving you anything on the cost, right? In terms of Sun Jing-Woo, but it lets you sort of get ahead of the game by a turn because you can do this at the beginning of your turn rather than the end of your turn. So you unlock those abilities for your entire combat phase. I think if this was
tenacious, like the first response, I'd be more down for it because it means you can commit it and still level up. But I do like the synergy of going, okay, I need to get to this 0 out speed or I'm going to die. So I'll remove this and then get to the 0 out speed. Or like you're saying, first, when you're at level 5, just going, okay, I'm going to bump up to level 6. I'm going to get my rules of authority. I'm going to play an attack, and then I'm going to start picking up my XP. I'm going to start picking up my XP cards, including Double Dungeon, to get that back.
If you want to, yeah. So, but at that point, it's just like a 1 mid block because you're never leveling up again, and you don't need to level up again. So, but It's basically a way of sort of cheating on mechanic for once, right? In terms
That's
of
a good point. Can you still level up after you've hit max level?
unknown.
Because you could play
Team
this.
3D, let us know in the comments.
You could play this, build it down, and then keep readying up by just discarding cards that you say you're playing against an all low Godzilla deck. Discarding your high XP cards to ready this back up seems like a great way to have extra review.
Yeah, like again, I don't know, right? Whether you can do that, who knows? But like that, like I said, the main thing on this card is the enhance, just to sort of let you get ahead of the game and have that your level up ability on your turn in. So just being able to have the thing that lets you echo something a turn earlier than you would do.
I wish it was a more significant cheat aspect. It's a great late game cheat, but I wish it could like just defensively go, you played an attack, I'm going to remove this, I'm going to level up and go, cool, I've used an enhance so I can't zero out this attack. Attack me again, I dare you.
But again, balancing thing, right? You know, he definitely is going to ramp up a lot in terms of power level. So that is very much, you know, the you can't level up again this turn is that power gating. So you can't get to that kind of Super Saiyan mode at the end ahead of time. But Sunjin will only card. No one else is playing this, but it's going to be really cool in him.
Yeah, let's move on to our common foundation next. Number 13, Dungeoneering Armor, 2 diff, 5 control, 2 high block. Response Tenacious. After this card is committed due to rival effect, this attack gets -2 damage. Enhance Tenacious Sacrifice. This attack gets -1 damage. Death Attuned.
Just a bit of stun hate, a bit of DR. It's weird that it's kind of, this feels like it almost should be an asset just because it's armor, right? And it's got the keyword armor, which I don't know whether that matters or anything, but maybe it will do in Critical Role, right?
It may do a Critical Role, may do if we get solo leveling. I think the main reason this isn't an asset is because this isn't Sun Jin-woo's armor. This is his partner's armor, so this kind of makes sense.
Yep. But, you know, it's fine. You know, 2/5/2 high block, stun hate, and sacrifice it for -1 damage. Tenacious is okay, might save your life.
Does martial law have death?
Us.
But either way, that's really cool. Just go, you've got to make me commit something. Cool, I'll commit this -2 damage. Let's go.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, nothing to write home about.
This is the one that I'm really interested in because it's kind of weird. But let's see. 1 diff, 5 control, 3 mid block, Fateful Decision. This art is beautiful.
It's really, really cool artwork on this one.
I don't know how an all art's going to top this. Enhance Commit. This tag is -2 speed. Enhance Commit. After you play a block, it gains Breaker 1. That should probably be a response.
It should be a response. Let's assume that this should be a response. And that's okay, because that's the only way this text box actually works. It's your standard 1/5/3 block with commit for -2 speed.
Yeah.
And this one lets you, because it's on all, give Big Fist Bash Breaker 4.
I mean, it lets you with Sun Jin-woo go, make it a high, showdown, breaker, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, again, he wants his defensive pieces. So, okay, I don't haven't unlocked my reset to 0, so I just need to, reset your, give it the -2, or okay, I'll first enhance set it to 0, and now I can block and you don't break a 1.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid foundation if you're in the market for like a 1/5, that 1/5 with a baddish block.
Breaker 1 on any block. I think this is good.
Yeah.
This is part of the I'm staying alive strategy.
And again, because Breaker tends to be reasonably powerful, like I think this one, again, has a reasonable chance of seeing play, just its speed hate and also a bit of, that extra defense. So,
yeah, solid saying, if I can't block this, I can now. Or if I can block this, stop hitting me.
Yeah, you're effectively almost giving him +1 speed, but then Breaker 1ing them, assuming you can actually block.
If you still access to your 0 out, you go, I 0 out, then I give it -1. I give my Breaker 1. Another common foundation, moving on. Improving skills, 2 diff, 5 control, 3 high block, enhance, sacrifice 1 foundation. This attack gets +1 speed. Response, after you remove this card from your hand, build the top card of your deck face down committed.
Well, the important one you missed there is that it's got the XP trait.
XP, and it is life attuned.
Yes. So again, going to be one of those things of you really want this in Sun Jing, where it's one of the glue foundations, because it's triggering off your thing. So it lets you get a free build. Obviously, it's committed, but it's still a free build, right?
If I have 6 foundations in my opening hand, this is probably the one I'm not trying to play. Because I can just end my turn, pitch it, and have another one built in. That is just exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is committed, and this is obviously a way you might end up with those kind of XP attacks face down on your stage that you then want to remove with your ultra attack in order to then pick back up once you've got to level 6. And it's a nice way of staying out of deadlock if you need to. You know, every sort of deck needs something like that to give it a bit of speed. That's fine. Again, he's going to want as many of these sort of effects, much like that 5 mid-5 of just, he's going to be resource hungry for those first few turns in terms of being able to do it every time. Because if you have a turn where you don't level up and you haven't hit level 6, it's going to be really disappointing.
Yeah, every time you don't level up, it's just a turn you're longer for you being able to kill, and that's just going to get infuriating.
Yeah, so again, this is just a way of refunding the cost of that. So, yeah, really solid one, and you're just going to play it in Sun Jing Wu.
I do like the art from this with the notification level up, but I think the alt art is going to be more about skill evolution, maybe talking about bloodlust turning into murderous intent or rulers of
I can't think of anything else that removes cards from their hand as costs off the top of my head on the life symbol.
I'm sure that's something that we could do a quick search for and make a video on, like other utilizations for improving skills.
Yeah. Again, if there's anything else that does that, then sure, then this might be useful. But again, most of it's going to be just...
I think if it's the only card in your hand, then you get Tri-Gravity Beamed.
Maybe.
Because you are the one removing it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not a reason to play this card. But
it's a reason not to play Tri-Gravity Beam.
No.
Let's move on to the next part of the system, the item menu. 1 diff, 5 control, 3 low block, XP... Response: after you remove this card from your hand, draw a card. Flavor text: this is a strange system I'm caught in. Its rules follow game logic as opposed to real world logic. Sun Jing Wu, all attuned.
Yep, similar. This is going to be one of his bread and butter ones of just being able to replace itself after removing it to XP. Obviously, it has to be from your hand, but that's fine. This is like your Feral Shriek, right? Or your Wish Heart, whatever. Like, it replaces itself when I do the thing that I do. And otherwise, it's like a 1/5/3 low that is fine to build if you need to. Otherwise, it's just...
It's a 1 diff foundation that draws cards but doesn't flip. It's unnatural.
Yeah. But again, bread and butter for him is something you want. But it's a weird kind of trade-off with this, right? In that you want to be doing this because it refunds you the resources, much like that previous foundation. However, you also want to be doing it for attacks because you want to store them for your final level. So, yeah. A good one probably to do early where the cards maybe matter more.
Yeah, Ghidorah doesn't have all, so you can't trigger this off Ghidorah.
Yeah. Again, probably just Sun Jing Wu only. Probably just a key part of his kit to keep him alive and make sure he's going resource neutral from his response.
As a common draw, this basically just lets you stay net 0 on your remove.
Yeah.
Lets you replace it and lets you just go, I need to level up, but I can't afford to go card down.
Mm-hmm.
Leveling strength, 1 diff, 5 control, 2 low block, enhanced commit. This attack gets +2 damage. Life attuned. Another paragraph of flavor text. Different beasts have different weaknesses. So if our weapons are effective, I'll just switch things up and throw hands. Sun Jing Wu.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1/5 with a 2 low block. That's solid. It's XP. It's got an unexciting enhance, like commit for +2 damage is...
It's cute. It's
just a common foundation with the keyword he wants on it. That's it.
And it's a low block, which is always good to see.
Yeah.
I do now see why the attacks that aren't weapons are furies, because he's just throwing hands because his weapons aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have my favourite foundation in this set. 2 diff, 4 control, 3 low block, XP, loot box, enhance flip, build the top card of your deck. At the end of the combat phase, add that card to your hand.
Yeah, it's an interesting one that you could see play outside of Sun Jing Wu, right? Because you're essentially saying, I've got a foundation that is free for the turn to do what I want with, whether that's like destroying it for some sort of effect or just making sure I'm like resource positive and like I can string out a bit harder.
It's all attuned as well. So in Rodan, I don't like the top card of my deck, but I would like to have it in my hand for next turn. Oh, let's go.
Yeah. So it is drawing you a card and giving you a resource of the turn, but you only get, but it's like a delayed
at the end of the combat phase, so before the start, before the end phase, so you can pick up an XP card and use that.
Yeah, well, assuming you get lucky and flip one, right? But I'm just thinking outside of that, right? You're up a card, but it's a delayed effect, so it's only at the end of the turn. But you do get that as a resource during your turn, so it's a very interesting ability that I definitely could see finding a home somewhere, and that's probably a reason why it's got that 4 check rather than the 5, and the bad block, like a 3 low is not great.
Any of the review matter cards have all where you can just sort of like pick it up and go, oh, I can review this now to get counters or abilities.
Maybe. I think so. I think Edshot's got all.
And then we've got the lovely flavor text. Oh, a choice of random loot boxes. Well, I'm going to choose the blessed one. Easy. Sun Jin Woo. Yeah, so in this one, he's completed his dailies. And he's offered the choice between a cursed and a blessed loot box. Which one would you pick? One's glowing and beautiful and celestial, and the other one's demonic.
Yeah.
Which one would you pick?
Well, probably the same one he does, which is probably the worst choice.
Yes, he gets a key to the demon dimension. It's not a great choice, but, it's one of the game logic of, they're not going to choose the bad option, so we'll put the bad thing in the good option.
Yeah, good old Gamba. But yeah, I think this is, again, an interesting foundation that I think could see play outside of Sun Jin Woo.
I think this is one that it's a card that is a net profit. I think it's going to be played in most all decks.
You possibly. I mean, it is a 2/4, right, with a bad block. So, there is that is the cost to playing this card, right?
But it increases your hand size with no real cost because it's only flip.
Well, no, that is the cost, right? The cost is it's a 2/4 with a 3 low block. Like that's not those numbers aren't great, and you do have to flip it. So you can do it on your opponent's turn if you need those extra resources to block and but like you're not really then card positive because you're only getting that card going into your turn. But mostly this is I've got an extra resource on my turn to be punching you with, and then I'm going to draw a block at the end of the turn.
Then move on to our penultimate card, a 1 diff 5 control 3 high block Serpent Scramble, a Breaker 1 XP card on all attuned with amazing art of him just running from his life from this serpent.
And the long-winded essay of a flavor text of
Yeah, that's Jin Ho, the leader of the guild, and just legging it, being the C rank hunter that he is.
Fine, it's an X. You play it because it's an XP card, and that's it. Like,
the free high block doesn't matter when you can zero out the speed. Breaker 1 with potential for Breaker 2 with committals and other things. It's a decent card, but I don't think it might see play in Ryukyu 2 that needs 1 ability cards, but apart from that,
no, I don't think so. I think it's playable in Sun Jin Woo because you've got the XP ability on it, and that's it.
And then we get this lovely ability, Timely Recovery, the last card in the deck. 2 cost, 5 control, 2 mid block, XP, Enhanced Tenacious, sacrifice, gain 2 health, response. After you remove this card from your hand, gain 2 health, and the flavor text, detoxing is complete. The system. Life attuned, life being very health gainy.
It's okay. Again, another thing of just sort of getting some sort of rebate on removing it to level up, right? Giving you a bit of health to gain. And again, he's just having these things of like, it's like a healing potion, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's just more ways of him trying to sort of somehow get his way to getting to the point where he's on level 6 and will kill you.
Yeah, it's also a great way to survive the turn. If you're going, I'm going to die here, my opponent's on exact, and you just go, I can sack this. It's not unique, so you can't.
I blocked your previous attack and committed out for it. You've got one last attack. Well, I can sacrifice this and gain 2 health, and hopefully then it's not lethal, right?
There's going to be times where this keeps you alive and wins you games.
Yeah. Unplayable outside of Sun Jin Woo. That's it.
I don't know about that.
Again, you need to be doing, unless you've got both halves of this card, it's not good. Unless you're removing stuff from your hand. No.
You may give damage equal to the times you've gained health this time?
You've got, honestly, gaining health isn't an issue in your mare generally, so...
but just having this sacrifice gain 2 health as a tenacious ability, I mean, you can play it in a late string.
Your 2 diff slot is so full of better things to do.
Yes, I mean, I can see some characters having space for this, even if it's just in sideboard.
Again, I think you need to get the response as well. Have access to response to make this worthwhile. Just gaining 2 health ain't great. It's fine.
Definitely gonna have to do some research into if there's any characters that let you remove cards from your hand.
Yeah. I mean, there probably are, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I think there's some of the Godzilla ones, but they don't have life on the cards. So you'd have to find a character.
Yeah.
I believe there's some Ghidorah stuff that says remove a card from your hand, and then the cards get abilities. Possibly, but you'd have to find one that was matching all the symbols.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that wraps up all of the cards, right?
Yeah, there's all 20 cards in the deck and the skill tree for the assassin class. I'm reluctantly hyped for this. I think this is going to be a very solid Challenger Series deck. I do think it has some decent standard potential if we address some of the hyper aggro aspects of the meta, which I think do go down once set 2 and set 3 are out.
Yeah, there were some interesting cards, right? There are some cards that could see play. I think in terms of a kit as a deck as a whole, I think he's got plenty of those XP cards to fuel himself. He's got the sort of the breakers. He's got the learning the standards asset.
And he's got great symbols for it as well.
And he's got life gain and damage reduction and stuff. So he's playing into that, building up, defending, getting to that 7th turn where I can just go off and it feels cohesive as a kit.
Yeah.
There are some of those common, uncommon sort of attacks and foundations that are whatever. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the first asset in terms of what it does.
I mean, you need it for the non-weapon attacks to really pop off.
Kinda, yeah. You probably need it for the kit, but again, if you're upgrading Sun Jin, I think it just comes out. I think
that's probably some content we could do afterwards is upgrading Sun Jin Woo and just finding.
Yeah.
You probably want 4 of his "You Are the World's Weakest Hunter" as a standard sort of thing.
Yeah, honestly, one of the best things you'll be able to do is probably just get 2 Sung Jin Woos and smash them together, because a lot of the times you're just going to get 4 of the best of his XP cards, right?
Just chuck every XP card in the deck and go, I will level up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's solid. I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
I think it feels very thematic, at least to my understanding of the show that you briefly explained to me. So yeah, looking forward to it. I don't think it's going to make huge waves on the meta, but there's certainly going to be similar to other challenger decks we've seen previously. There's going to be maybe 3 or 4 cards that will see play outside of stuff. I certainly think the Ultra Attack could find a home. A couple of the foundations again could find a home, the -2 speed or breaker 1/1 could be interesting in places, things like that. So there's certainly places that some of these cards might see. I think for me the most generically useful one is the asset because it's just learning the standards. Learning standards is good. So
that's definitely going to see some play, especially as essentially an all-attune learning standard. So he's got access to a lot more,
and even slightly better because you're not forced to take damage, right? So
I think, it's more like an Ares Smile that's attuned into a lot more characters.
Yeah,
I think this is not going to have the impact to our meta that Deku did, but that was a card that was coming in with very powerful abilities on face that didn't need its deck. I think this one, if I had the time, if Nats was say 2 months away and I could sit and I could keep changing the deck and I could keep playing the deck, I could probably work this into a very good Nats deck. I just don't think I have the time to do it.
You got a week or so, right?
We got 2. Essentially, I'd have a week after this drop to make it into a viable Nats deck. I still may give it a go because I think I'd probably be the only person showing up with Sun Jin Woo.
That is fair.
I think it's very, very cool card. If I can't think of any other deck I want to play more, I will rock Sun Jin Woo. It's been my plan pretty much all year, and I haven't done any nuts testing because I've been waiting for this because I was expecting this to pop off, and it kind of has. It's really exciting to see these cards, and I think this has been this. As all with any product, there's some hits, there's some misses, but that's because they're meant to be balancing. As you said, they can't all be overpowered cards because
the expectation that all 20 of these cards are kind of standard meta playable, I think, is unrealistic, and I don't think it's what I'd want from this product either. Like, again, you want sort of some of those cards. Sometimes you just need to be able to say, actually, I don't care about these cards, so I can give this product a miss. Like, from a product overload kind of standpoint, but and also from the other perspective of, like, this just needs to be working as a deck on its own, just so people can just play as this and just sort of, this quite often will maybe be their entry into the game, which I believe my little chihuahua agrees with.
There's been a lot of people that have been going to LGSs and been looking online, have been interested in the solo leveling product, and it's been popping up in Patreon and all the stuff, people looking to get into the game just from this challenger. And I think the IPs we have in 2025 are some very good onboarding IPs for different fan bases, starting with Soul Leveling and Critical Role and TMNT. And this is a great start to the year. It's a great end to the competitive year as well. Mm-hmm. I think this is, for me, the Challenger format is going to be very powerful in the Challenger format. It's a lot slower. This is going to be a lot better to go. I'm very excited to go in here, and I'm really excited to see the alt arts for this.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite card? What's the card that stood out to you the most? I think you said it was the asset?
Yeah. I mean, again, because I'm a sweaty tryhard, right?
Yeah.
That's the one that sort of stands out to me in terms of, like, playability and impact on a meta. I think the Ultra Attack is certainly interesting in specifically Rodan Ray, and that's sort of the two off the top of my head. I think there's others that might be sort of role players here and there. I think, like, overall, it'll be a cool deck. I don't think it's like cracked or anything, but I don't want it to be cracked.
World's Weakest Hunter stood up to me immediately. As soon as I saw that, basically, if this deals damage on a 4 diff, which means you can play it late in a string, getting to draw up, getting that defensive aspect, dropping this on a 6 and going, if this hits as a 5 mid, I get to pop off. That's very, very strong. And loot box, to me, is something about RNG-based building, to me, that just seems very cool. It's got that Titan SWAT, Colossal Titan SWAT, Lightning Rod aspect where you go, I have an extra resource, but unlike those two where it just gets removed or discarded, I get to pick this and put it in my hand at the end of the combat phase. And if I've looked out to get an XP card, I get to then level up as well.
Yeah, and it's very similar to that, or like a weapons clash, that sort of idea, right, of just building one for the turn, except you do get this resource for, like, any sort of attacks or building you do. It's solid. Yeah, I think that's one that certainly could see play. Yeah, as always, thank you very much, TVS Games, for letting us sort of share these with you and us waffle on and giving our probably terrible takes on these cards. And obviously, as always, please do go check out all the other content creators and see their opinions and thoughts on these cards.
So these cards are all being dropped at the same time, so go check out all the other content creators out there. The alt arts are probably dropping somewhere. It's probably the Gamer and IGN. That's why the first place I'm going to check out, of course.
And obviously, go place your orders for them at your local game store.
This drops January 10th, 2025, and the second season of the anime hits Crunchyroll not too long after in January. The movie is currently out in cinemas, which is a catch-up of Season 1 and the first 2 episodes of Season 2, where we get to see all of Sung Jin-woo's reawakenings. This has been us just going over the soul leveling. I am so hyped for this product. I've been bugging UVS for the last 3 weeks, like, where's soul leveling, and they finally cracked and gave me it. I am so hyped for this product. If as you're watching on YouTube, do hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You'll get all of our crazy theories, deck lists, videos. We're pumping out content like never before, and it's draining, but it's really good to see people reacting to the content.
Yeah.
And Richard does pitch in with his debt list, which is something I need to start doing.
I do occasionally do content on my own. I am, as always, a lazy bugger. So, and, you know, I also
and if you are in the UK or if you are in the UK, NA or Oceania, find out where your local nationals are. Do feel free to turn up as a new player. We have got last chance qualifiers on the first day. Come join in. If you go find your favourite content creators, we're happy to sign stuff. I think Richard only charges a small concession for charging things at this rate.
Just a little bit.
And we'll be hooking up with some new games. So check out Nationals. It's going to be an absolute blast. Go check out our video on the prize walls. But go pre-order this. Head to your local game store. Show that you're interested in this product. Get some play groups set up. And we'll see you all in the next video.
Yeah, catch you all soon.
Goodbye.
Can you remember to forget? Little boy who lost a bet.